Like, I wanted to just be a normal guy at one point and just, do normal guy shit and not fantasize all day about art and creativity. But so I really tried, and I tried to quit music and quit everything. And I just got to a really bad place. And, creativity or the Muse came and brought me back. Like, I tried to quit it and abandon it, but they picked me up and said, here, you can't quit, right? You have to keep going. And once I accepted that, then things started to get better.
GM, and welcome to the Boonified Experience podcast. I am your host, Kyle, but really, most people, they just call me Boona. This is a Web3 podcast that curates the stories of artists, collectors, and true visionaries pushing the boundaries of technology to create a brighter future for all. That was Alpha Centauri Kid going in depth of how the Muse first came to him, came to be, and sent him on the largest creative endeavor he couldn't have imagined. ACK is a multi-disciplinary artist who is most known for his signature minimalistic glitch-style art that has taken the crypto community by storm. He entered the space in 2021 and has one of the most esteemed collector bases, including Punk6529, VVD, or Vincent Van Gogh, Anonymoux, and many more. We cover everything from his first minted Elon Musk meme to his experience debuting the Muse silkscreen prints at Christie's auction house. We also chat through scene creation, his challenges of incorporating music into his art, also his legendary performance piece, The Great Color Study, and so much more. As always, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and nothing we discuss should be relied upon for investment or financial advice. Boona and guests may own NFTs discussed in this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started with the show. GM, ACK, how are you, man?
GM, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Got the hoodie on. It's nice, nice cozy day, man. It's a little nasty outside, so I figured I'd dress for the occasion.
Yeah, I should have my She Loves Me Not hoodie on. I should go get one.
I mean, if you want to,
I have like 3 boxes full of them.
It's funny. I put that in the Other Side long sleeve shirt from Super Rare on my Christmas list. And I remember when my mom always asked what I want, and I remember putting that on there. I'm like, what the hell is she gonna think about these hoodies?
My when I see people wearing mine around, I'm like, hell yeah! Like, they love art when they're willing to wear the Grim Reaper, drinking. Yeah, I love to see it. It's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, I hope, because Super Rare had that like limited drop, and I'm like, okay, I hope it's not limited in the way I'm thinking of limited, like, with 100 Thieves, for example, the clothes that I'm wearing, like, they usually sell out in like 4 minutes, and then you never get it. So I'm like super thankful that they still have some in stock.
No, I mean, whenever they launched it was summertime, so a lot sold. But yeah, I think they sent me the latest numbers. I think all the Zippos sold out, and I think there's like 30 hoodies. I don't know, but yeah, I have 3 boxes, and I need to, next time I go somewhere, like to an event or maybe NFT with, I'm just gonna bring them with me and give them away.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what
give them away.
I think it's super. I like that concept because like D's, at like they changed their name from Fractional, and they changed their whole logo from like Fractional to Sarah, and they were giving away those Fractional old logo hats like at NFT NYC, and now their logo has changed. It's like all of a sudden a sought after item, and people like are really seeking them out.
It's interesting how that works.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah, dude, we've been going back and forth, man. This has been, I'm glad we finally got to sit down and have a conversation. I got no time restraints. So whenever this ends, it'll end, and yeah, man. But for those I still know that I do still have a mixed audience, man, but just kind of like wanted to get some of your background, man, like kind of how you found the space, like how you found Web3 and crypto art, and what some of the beginning journey was like in discovering the space.
Yeah, so I've always been an artist and into music and
Mm,
self-taught pianist and all these things. But yeah, art and creativity has always been there, and but mainly just for myself. I never like tried to make a living out of it. I just anytime I had an idea, I would whatever the idea was, like I built an app once for the App Store because I thought it would be fun, and just painting over the years, and just I would come up with these ideas and try to problem solve them myself. And but yeah, so I've always been somewhat creative, and um, I had like a whole catalog of shit I've photoshopped over the years and painted. And
mm,
so when I learned about Beeple's record breaking sell with Christie's in March of, I think, the March contemporary sell, he was in the evening sell that year. And yeah, when I saw that, and I was like, what the hell? So I did my research, and I looked at more Beeple art and instantly loved it because, the Elon memes and the Trump and everything. It
yeah.
was interesting to see that people were willing to spend money on shit like that. So yeah, so I had a Elon Photoshop that I did. Um, it's like him on Mars, and
Yeah.
yeah, I minted that as my first token ever, and I think it's called Elon God of Memes, and
Is that one on Foundation?
it's OpenSea. It's my
OpenSea.
pre-AC, yeah, pre-ACK account, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it's just a still image of him on Mars with like some guys in the back hammering, like working on a Tesla logo and just other shit rockets. But yeah, it was just a fun meme, and I minted that, and I didn't think anything of it. But yeah, a few weeks later, it sold. I need to track the history, but it sold for like maybe $30 or $40 or something like that. And I was mind
Huh.
blown that someone was willing to spend money,
Mm.
and from there, I was paying attention to the people in the space, and it just seemed like an interesting and fun and exciting place. So I just, paid attention and just kept doing shit.
I mean, dude, there's something I pulled out of there, man. Number one, I think the self-taught pianist is really interesting. I think piano is one of the more beautiful instruments, and honestly, like when I first found, I know it's not available anymore, but when I first started like coming across your page and looking at your art, and I remember hearing the music in some of the art, and I was like, that's really cool. I wonder if he's got that documented somewhere. And I remember we chatted earlier. I went and like scoured the internet for a YouTube channel, and even though it's
Oh,
not available anymore, I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Even it's kind of like a hodgepodge, a mix of everything. Like, um,
yeah,
I always found that very unique because I mean, here a lot of photography gets put into the fold, poetry. We're seeing a lot of that, digital graphics, but music and imagery and animation is not like it's not super like popular. So I always find that
yeah.
super intriguing.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, oftentimes I won't add music to a scene because I feel music can like distract you and
Mm,
something. But so I take it very seriously, especially now. Like if I'm going to put music or any sort of score a scene with any kind of audio, yeah, I that's usually what I spend the most time on
oh no
because
shit.
yeah, it's such a delicate process, and it has to be impactful, because not everybody likes the same music, but
Mm.
a lot of people can like the same art. So you have to try and balance it out.
On some of those scenes, do you typically like when you think about scenes where you want to like add piano or like when you want to add music, do you add that before and then create the art around the music, or is it like a vice versa where you create the
Mm-mm.
art and then throw the music in there?
So I've done both. So like if I have a piece of music that I'm really like connected to, I can build a scene around it. But I usually like when the scene will dictate what the music's going to be.
Mm,
So like, yeah, like with right click print, it's quite a simple composition, but I was just sitting there playing keys, and I wanted something that sounded like kind of eerie, but still kind of beautiful. So yeah, I
yeah.
just a couple of solo keys, and yeah, I just sat there and I played it like the first few times, and it just felt right. But yeah, there's other scenes that are much more dynamic that I'm sure other artists would agree that just yeah, it's not easy to score a scene if you want it to last and like be powerful and not boring.
Mm. Well, and to your point though, I think that like even if people don't necessarily listen to a lot of classical music or a lot of music in that genre or string instruments outside of guitar, like I think that people can always appreciate classical music because whether or not we choose to listen or not, we hear it all the time in movies. It's surround like try watching a movie scene without classical music. It's actually really fucking boring.
Oh yeah, true, true.
You know?
Yeah, there's been some great Mozart that's been put in some boring movies that has made it good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love classical. I also just love. I've never been one like I can play Mozart and Beethoven, and
Mm,
not a lot. I can play. There's a few pieces that I've been able to play over the years, but I like to sit and just discover my own melodies. I've never been one to like cover music. I like to just
mm,
discover my own shit. Sit there. That's like playing piano is like I consider that like my gateway to the muse. Like once I can be in a bad mood, but if I sit down to start playing piano, then I'll start to, see
mm.
shit and come up with ideas, and it's like my safe space, I guess.
No, that's cool, man. It's not the first time I've heard that. Before where it's like that's kind of like that entry point to whatever you're supposed to be feeling, and I think everyone has that in their own way. But it's really nice to like to see that when it comes to something that obviously like the muse is a huge part of your story and a huge part of your art and a huge part of essentially the foundation of everything you built.
Hmm.
In our last conversation, something that stuck out to me was that you had mentioned like the muse saved you from like certain death or like certain sudden death or something like that. Like, what was that process like? I that like always stuck out to me.
Yeah. God. So yeah, it's quite personal, but like I was
Okay.
going through some family shit, but I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about it, but like we were at a bad place, and um, I became at a bad place. So like I was just I gave up on music. I gave up on art. Like I quit. I grew to like I grew to hate the fact that I couldn't escape it. Like
Mm,
I wanted to just be a normal guy at one point and just
mm,
do normal guy shit and
mm-hmm,
not fantasize all day about art and creativity. But so I really tried, and I tried to quit music and quit everything, and I just got to a really bad place. And and yeah, and then I feel like creativity or the muse came and brought me back. Like I tried to quit it and abandon it, but they picked me up and
mm,
said, "Here, you can't quit. Like you have to keep going." And once I accepted that, then yeah, things started to get better, and I just learn how to balance that plus normalcy,
yeah.
because you can't just be that all the time, or you won't have any relationships left.
Right. Right. I mean, no, I appreciate you sharing that because the reason why I wanted to go there as well is because I felt like I could relate to a little bit is that, I've been sober for 9.5 years and there was
Mhm.
like one of these moments, and like in my heroin addiction where like I had this like moment of clarity where it was like all of a sudden for like this one brief moment, and it was about 30 seconds to a minute, like everything just made sense. Like
Mhm.
nothing up to that point in my life made sense. It was always,
Yeah.
I just felt like I was a pinball, just being bounced around
Hmm.
certain things. And granted, what 21-year-old like that's like most people's experience, but most
Yeah.
people didn't really destroy their life and go down the
Yeah.
the rabbit holes that I've been down. But I remember thinking it was all so muddy and I never saw a way out. But then all of a sudden on the way home from, our last score, it was like, wow, I just like literally I just fell apart. Yeah, I just completely fell apart. And I knew at that time that like if I didn't take the decision to
Hmm.
like if I didn't decide to capitalize on that moment, that I was never guaranteed one of those moments again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
That's oh man. Well, yeah. Thanks for sharing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not a common thing either to get that gift of like, oh well shit, this is really happening. Most people just keep spiraling out, unfortunately.
Yeah. It really is, man. And I think it was a big blessing because I had I'd been to a few treatment centers before and I learned about, people like me, and everyone talked about this moment of clarity. And so like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
in the back of my head that seed was planted, that like I knew it was possible from people
Mm-hmm.
who were just like me and had gone way farther down the scale than I had. And they seemed to be a little bit differently rearranged inside. And they spoke with like conviction, they spoke with depth, and they spoke with experience. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think it was a combination of all of that where I was like, damn, like I can't fucking
Yeah.
ignore this. This is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. 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 You want to definitely you can tell when they've learned their some hard lessons, and it's good
Mm.
to learn from their mistakes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that we could connect on something like that. And because I feel like when you share about that, there's always something I feel when you share in your tweets around the Muse pulling you back or telling you to guide you in a certain direction or whatever the case may
Mm,
be. Because, there's times where the decision I make in real time doesn't make sense in the immediate term, but in the long term,
yeah.
it always plays out.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's this piece of art I'm working on now. I had this very strong like feeling about it, and I shared a few glimpses of it. It's quite dark, but
Hmm.
and I was like, I'm really loving this, but I didn't know the final direction until like just a few days ago. And
Mm.
in that like in the meantime, while I'm sitting there stressing about it, like, man, is anybody gonna want to buy this? Like, is this collectible? Is it too dark? But then I'm like, you know what? But I'm smart enough to know. I've learned by now. I have to trust this instinct, and I have to commit to like to see this through. And every time I do that, there's a reward waiting for me. So yeah, I finally just like yesterday or the day before, I like had a realization of what's going to happen with this scene. And yeah, the title, once I came up with the title, everything else came together. So now
Mm.
it's just putting the pieces together and making it, beautiful and interesting, and then yeah, then release to the world.
And I saw in that tweet that you didn't you're not going to release the final scene until the token is sold, correct? Is that kind of how you're playing that?
Well, actually, yeah, I ended up deleting that tweet because I thought about it. As soon as I tweeted that, I didn't like it. Like I didn't like the
Mm,
feeling associated with it. So
got it.
like if I feel like that if I feel kind of bad, not bad, but if I feel negative about a tweet, I'm not afraid to delete it.
Yeah.
Also, because so many people hold me to my fucking word. Like, man, just let a guy tweet sometimes and express the feeling without fucking being condemned over it, man. but um, but yeah, so I deleted the tweet, but I'm gonna mint a token on Christmas because I need it for Provenance,
Mm,
and then I don't know if I'll sell it. If someone wants to buy it, they're more than welcome to. But there will be one final update, so I'm gonna mint it. I'm gonna mint it like as is, just a little bit of the scene exposed and untitled. And
mm.
then yeah, once I finish the scene, then if I finish it by Christmas, then I'll mint it complete on Christmas, and then we'll list it for sale via Art of This Millennia AOTM. But that'll be my first work with them.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Dude, I like what they're doing. That like when I saw that tweet go out, I thought it was something really different. I know there's two camps, two sides of that camp of like some,
Mm,
half the creative community was like, well, these people already have this established brand, but I still think that the scope and I think what's the word I'm looking for is that like some people aren't thinking big enough when it comes to like,
mm, mm.
while this group of artists that were selected are big in our little bubble, in the larger picture, we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah. Well, you have to start somewhere,
Yeah.
and they don't know the inner workings. They might not understand how BBD is as far as a like. He's a real champion of art. Like he's not out here
Dude.
trying to make a quick buck on you.
Yeah.
He's out here
Yeah.
trying to help get the best artists, the best support and push that we need to be successful. But yeah, so like, and also we're going to highlight non-AOTM artists like every so often and try and get, promote art we love, even if they're not part of it. I mean, it's just, there's just a process. I'm not involved in any other process. I mean, I'm friends with everyone, but I think it's important to have a gallery that's art first without like, hey, we're going to support you, but oh, by the way, can you give me a piece of art for my drop that's coming up? And like, I'm tired of my relationship with collectors being, I'm going to buy your work, but also in 3 months when I'm building this thing, were you going to give me some art for that? And it's like, well, let's just buy the art for the art. And then if we're friends and I like your project, maybe I'll support it, but don't buy my art with the later hope of wanting to fucking get me to agree to some shit. It's a lot of pressure for us artists to say yes to everything. And I love working with 6529 memes. I love working with Proof. There's people out there that know how to do it well. So like, I'm not saying I won't work with other brands and shit, but honestly, I just want to make the art that I want to make for the rest of my life.
Well, so. and I mean, I think it's easy to forget that like the reason why you have people reaching out to you is because people buy the art. It's because of your art specifically that people are reaching out to do this. So it's, and I'm sure
it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. It's not even a problem, but yeah, I'm very fortunate, and I'm not trying to sound ungrateful at all. I'm just, I think you'll see, you learn over, the course of success that there's people that want to truly like help you and be a support system for you. And there's people that say they want to do that, but in the end, they're just trying to get something out of you. And I mean, that's the way the world works. I get it, but I think it's good for an artist to not feel like they have to say yes to everything.
I like, I think at also any level that's the case. Like, it just, even, I mean, I'm not going to spend much time on me, but like, even with like what I'm doing here, like it's, some people think that they have like a right to come on. It's like, it's like, cool. You have great art. You have great, you're awesome, but like, I don't know you. Like, I've never interacted with you before. I've never, so it's like, and it's not personal. And like in the beginning, it's hard to differentiate that. Like, it's not personal. It just is what it is,
For sure. And I think, sorry, I didn't mean to. I was just going to say, back to the AOTM point. I think as time passes, people will see that it's just a good group of people trying to help showcase artists digitally and, digitally native artists, crypto artists, like the galleries used to do. Like, if people look, did some research on like Peggy Guggenheim and what she did for art and for artists, like that's the true champion of art right there. So, and there's other people out there like that. And it's just over time, you'll see other galleries. AOTM is not going to be the only gallery. Like more are going to pop up. And
I mean, it's a good, I think it's an overall positive for this space. And I think that I just, like, before we move on, it's like, I feel it's really easy or a lot of times people, when they see a win for some people who are, either championed or like quote unquote successful, like whatever people's definition of that means. It's really hard to like convince people that like, hey, a win for people at any level in this space, especially in a market like this, is a win for the entire space. And like, it's really hard to like help people see that because that person, like some people at the top of their game, medium game, like just starting out, whatever the case may be, like a win for anyone at any level in this space, if people are still investing in art in Web3, like that means we get bought a little bit more time to continue doing whatever we do.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, I've never once been jealous, like, or envious of my peers when they have big sales and wins. And it's like, I don't want to say jealous, but like whenever I see someone else win, it's intriguing to me. Like, I'm like, okay, yes. Like, And I'm very fortunate, and I walk around with a lot of guilt because I know other artists in the real world that don't get, much of any attention at all. And but this is the hand I've been, this is the hand I've made for myself. And I try not to think about anything else other than the current piece of art I'm working on, like all the noise. And I miss a lot though. Like a lot of shit I from Twitter, I miss it. I know Fuck Render just had a piece. I think it might still be open, so I need to go claim one. But yeah, I loved his piece, and I want to own a Fuck Render, and I also like that he has no utility attached necessarily, because the art, like, you get to own a piece of art now. Not everybody in the world owns art, so there's utility right there.
There's utility, and I said that I mentioned I did a interview earlier. That's one of the things I mentioned. Is that, when we like, art is actually what I've learned is that, I bought a lot of things in my life. I bought a lot of collectible things, and I bought certain things, but like, art was a very new thing to me to buy, when I first came here. And so over time, when there's been times where I haven't been able to buy a piece of art, it really helps me understand, like, this is actually a privilege to be able to buy some of this, or like in the past, like, I've been grateful to be able to buy some of this in the past. It's not something that, like you said, a lot of people have. And it's a really, and I would love to say I'd master that, but like, I go through cycles as a human where I'll get salty that I can't afford something.
For sure.
I just think people need a little perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, like there's so much art that I want to buy and own. But like, yeah, I don't budget for that, and it's like the things I want, like the Skulls of Lucy by Sam Spratt. I really would love to have one of those, but fucking 60 ETH now, and I don't have a extra 60 ETH sitting around. So like, I wish I would have known about those. I don't even know if they were selling, honestly. Back, like, I need to go check the history on them, because man, they really have just skyrocketed. But it's unique. Like, I love that. Like, and I love like my ACK PFPs, and like, because those are like, his skulls are handmade. They weren't generated. He hand drew each one. I'm sure he has to have.
Yeah.
And mine are all handmade, one at a time. So like, I love seeing artists do stuff like that.
And it was actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw you tweet that earlier. I've seen, the two that come to mind are you and Sam Spratt when it comes to like artist centric PFP collections, and
yeah, because honestly, I'd rather own one of his than a punk, because like he, this artist hand painted, digitally hand painted this, and I know him, like, I've met him. And punks are cool, but they're all just numbers, in my opinion. I mean, I don't, trust me, like zombie punk, I would love to own it. There's one zombie punk that I love, and I would love to own it, but I see more uniqueness out of like ACKPFP, or like the Skulls of Lucy. Yeah,
no, isn't it like, I like that take, because it resonates a lot with the way, like, I like betting on people, and like, great people do great things. And like, it always feels, even if there's an opportunity that, I could have minted something and flipped it for something, but, instead I bought art instead. Like, I always feel much better about that. Like, when it's someone that I genuinely love and I've been wanting to collect from for a long time, like that's always a way better feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but trust me, don't get me wrong, I wish I would have been around to mint punks. Like, hearing the stories about how people minted like 40 punks, like, God.
And the ones that are still in dead wallets, that you're like, damn, like, what the fuck's going to happen to those,
I do think CryptoPunks are the ultimate PFP. Like, if you're into collectible like that, they're just unbeatable. Yeah. But if you're more into the art side, I think there are options. Eventually, I would like to own a punk as well, just for like just for like the vault for the kids to have someday, and hopefully sell for $10 billion or something.
That's right. Did you ever at any point in time want to own an ape? I'm super curious.
A Bored Ape? Yeah. I did own one.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
I traded one. Oh man. I traded one for Last Order. I own, because I kept 2 Last Orders for myself, the X Copy collab. And like, naturally, you're gonna keep 2 of those. And then I traded one with a guy for a zombie board ape, and I sold it a few days later for 7 ETH, just because I didn't care. I wasn't attached to the art. Like, I can't sell my last orders because I love the art, but I could sell a board ape and that guy's been forever salty. Like, he's been forever mad at me because I sold our trade. But hey, bro,
it's a free market.
Yeah, I didn't know there were no strings attached. Like, here, trade me, don't sell it. Fuck that. But yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I don't feel bad about it. I bought a new computer with the cell, and it was a much different time. Like, I had just started making ETH at that time because of the last orders edition. That was like the most ETH I had made. I think I made like 35 ETH, and X we split. It was like total of 70, I think. But like, ETH was still uncommon back then. And I mean, it even is now. Like,
we're kind of at the same period. We're kind of at the same period, sure. Like end of 2021 kind of, or beginning of 2021 kind of vibes.
For sure. Yeah, no, and I think I'm really excited for 2023 and so much cool shit going on. Like, the piano collection, and then I'm experimenting with different techniques, different styles of art, different mediums, and somehow it still looks like an ACK. So I'm really trying to step out of my element and explore new shit, and to still carry that essence of my aesthetic.
So I'd like the piano collection has been super interesting for a while, and I'd love to dive into that a little bit more. Like, how long have you been working on that? When did that idea like come to fruition? Because it's not been you haven't really shouted too much about it, but it's always been like this hum in the background where it's like a few things will drop here and there.
Yeah. So I had the idea. The piano collection has been a great lesson to me throughout this course, but I've been working on it for about a year. Once I started learning Cinema 4D, the first model I modeled was a piano, and like I have it saved on my desktop as ACK piano, and I always start with that, and then I always build from there. But when I'm working on pianos, so I've been working on it for about a year. I had these grand plans to do a lot of them, 666, and over time, like, I got to like 250-ish, maybe 300, and I was like, there's no way I can do 666. I mean, I could. It'll take me 20 years though. So like, I realized, what, the best course of action now, and is, especially with royalties going away, is to curate the best 100 and keep working on them. Like, find a way to create the most amazing 100 piano scenes imaginable, and keep it like, because you can only tell a piano story so many times, but that's been a challenge to myself to like, how can I tell another story about a piano that's interesting enough for someone to want to collect it? But I've loved it. So I mean, the best 100 I'm curating. I'm still working on them. I'm going to keep working on them until February. So it's been a big process and some disappointment along the way, but I had to change it. I was going to token gate it to my holders only for auctions. Yeah. But I didn't want utility of my art to be the common thing. And like, there's been some confusion about that, I think, as well. Cause I was never upset that people were coming in my Discord asking like, hey, which pieces have utility? That's normal. That's completely expected. Yeah. But like, I had a glimpse into the future if that continued. And I didn't like what the future held for me and my art, if that was the continuing story of why people are coming to my Discord. Yeah. So I had to make an immediate change. And I decided, you know what, we're going to, 100 public auctions, 100-ish. I'm not sure, maybe 95, maybe 110. I don't know. But so like, I can't wait. I can't wait for this project to be finished. And I feel absolutely great about it now. I hate, disappointing people, but I had to protect myself and my future and my career and my legacy and all the things. Most importantly, I had to protect the art because I can make 100 beautiful, amazing things. I can't make 666 of them in this, time span. So like,
Sure.
this is the best move for the collection. Public, open to the public. If they, whatever they sell for, I'm not even worried about. Like, I don't even care. Like, I want to release them to the world. I want this project to exist, and then I want to move forward.
I like that. You mentioned like protecting your art, protecting your legacy. Do you view that as one and the same, or do you view those as separate?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Like when it comes to like protecting your art, protecting your legacy, do you view those as like one and the same?
That's the same. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
100%. Yeah, because the art is the legacy.
Right.
If there is no legacy, that's because the art didn't earn the legacy, in my opinion. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think like, because look at Van Gogh, like his art earned his like obviously there were other characters involved in, like I think his sister-in-law and was pushing his art out to the world after he died, but either way, like the Muse had plans for him and the universe had plans for his art to become one of the most famous, of
all time
pieces of art in the world. Yeah. So
yeah,
I think it's one and the same for sure.
I like that. Something that also you mentioned is that you're going to keep creating until this and then you're going to curate the top 100. Like when you've created like collections, I know you did the great color study, and I'd love to just document that here in a bit. But is that kind of how you do? Is you just create until you feel like it's done, and then hand select like the top ones that you want?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I think it's kind of my thing now. Like just for me personally, I'm learning that every time I create one thing, I create 20 versions of it. And I spend a few weeks sending some to like MP Cause. Him and I usually are sharing art with each other. I really respect his opinion. So yeah, I'll make something. Like right now, I'm making some really interesting art, and I sent it to him for feedback, and it's just great to explore and having those options available to like sit with, and to come back a week later to see which one's really calling out to me is a good way for me to know, like, okay, this is the one, or I'll try and find ways to work all of them in together into a scene. Because I think sometimes you need more than one piece to tell a story about whatever art you're working on.
And I find that super interesting because like I interview a lot of photographers here as well, and like I've noticed that that's always there's a parallel between the way you guys work, because they'll take thousands of photos and then they'll go through their library and then they'll just say like, well, that one, nope, and they'll just curate it down to the best shot or the best set of shots, and then go into their editing, after that to bring those to life.
I know it's also common with like generative art. Like they generate a shit ton of outputs and then they go through and curate the best one. So I guess it's more common than you would expect. But I like to try and, because a lot of each variation of the thing I'm working on has its own story. So like I think there's interesting ways that have yet to be discovered how you can take 10 pieces of art and put them together somehow, and with a dynamic or just kind of like what I did with crypto art on Super Rare, where you type in the code and she changes. So I think each piece has its own emotion attached to it. So,
and is there, and because I find that too, and I'll notice like on the timeline where it's like I'll see some collections, it's like there's like a group of 4 pictures, or there's a group of whatever style of art it is, and it's like, okay, if these weren't in a group, would they each can they stand alone on their own, or does it just look good in a group? And there's some where I'm like, it just looks good in a group, because then I'll click on the image and I'm like, why does that just look so much better in that tile of 4 versus when I blow it up on the computer? I'm like, it just doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I always make sure I try to make like, I believe like the Great Color Study.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, each one, I made it to where if you only wanted one, you're gonna love the one you get.
Mm.
That was my goal. It's all subjective, of course,
Right.
but also I didn't want them to be too powerful to where they wouldn't fit in the group.
Mm.
So I had some that were just too dominating that I
Got
didn't
it.
put in, which they would have been cool and people would have been like, fuck yeah. But it's just, I needed it to be cohesive, but I also needed them to stand on their own, like, which I think they do. That's why I think the
Yeah.
titles come into play, like brick, coral, like asphalt. Those are interesting titles.
Yeah.
And if you own asphalt, that's cool. Like you own a cool piece of art and it's interesting. And like, yeah, I think it's cool to have options, but I try to be thoughtful about how they come together, and it's not always on purpose. Sometimes it's an accident.
I found that sometimes, I mean, as much as I like to, you know, as much as I like to think out ideas and thoughts, sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
best things that have happened have come from like a fear-based decision or a straight up
Mm-hmm.
accident, and where something
Yeah,
wasn't planned. You know what I mean?
yeah. Honestly, like I was growing weary of the muses shit pulling me through and getting me into these situations and making me figure my way out. I'm like, fucking hey. But yeah, because the Great Color Study was quite stressful, and so was Christie's.
Yeah.
Curating the right four colors, the right four prints for that was damn near impossible. But the Great Color Study helped that. Um, it just helps to like step away because I had the right three colors. I had the three prints that I knew I loved, and then I needed one more, which seemed impossible. So I stepped away to do the Great Color Study,
Mm.
and even that was weeks of curating. But I was enjoying it and learning more about the process of curation, and and yeah, I feel like I got the right tin. And then once I finished those, I went back to New York and Brooklyn, and we finished the last print. And yeah, the rest is history. Man, I'm
That's
super happy with the Christie's auction, and
yeah.
I'm very thankful for I know Anonymoux. He won, of course, and then I think Artifaction was bidding from Montana on the golf course, and yeah, that fucking legend. But and then there was a few people in the room bidding as well, which is really cool. I think there was a total of 4 people bidding.
what
Like, go
what
ahead.
was that like? What was that like, man? Like, because it's just you've like really done. You've made splashes here, and like it's hard to like know someone in crypto art who doesn't know your name. So it's like, what was
Mm,
that like, kind of stepping into just
mm.
like this, probably one of the biggest, like arguably one of the biggest auction houses, if not the biggest, like just, I'd love to know that. Because I'll just say that picture of you next to your print, like that you posted like right before the auction happened, like, dude,
Yeah.
that was vibes, man. Like the
Oh, really?
smile, everything, man. Yeah,
Thank you.
dude, for real.
Yeah, I felt a bit awkward sharing it, but it was a fucking accomplishment, man. Like, love me or hate me, like I worked my ass off
Mm,
to get to that, and like, and I made sure from the first meeting, like, hey, I won't do an NFT with these. Like, these have to be
yeah.
strictly physical, contemporary, and fortunately, yeah, Nicole was super cool, and she was a believer, every step of the way, and but no, yeah, being there it was so not stressful, but like it was weird because there was moments when I was there at Christie's where like I couldn't even smile. Like I was trying to smile for a picture, and my muscles just wouldn't even do it. Just because I think and it was so awkward. But like just because there were so many people looking at me all at
Mm,
once, and like it's just not my kind of thing. Like I'm not really used to it. I'd rather just chill with a couple of artists, collective friends, and whatever, and just
yeah.
people like you, and talk art and talk the space. But to be around people and how does it feel, and like all these things, it was strange. So yeah, the stress was a bit crippling, but other than that, like it was amazing. Like my wife loved it. She loved New York. My daughters were to the moon. um, yeah, it was a really magical experience, and it just happened so quickly. We're used to 24-hour auctions, and yeah, auctions just happen so quickly there. But it was amazing, and one of my favorite things was walking around, seeing the other art from like Warhol, Basquiat, Kondo. So many great artists were there on the contemporary day sale, and yeah, I think it was the first time a digitally native artist had a contemporary sale, not with an NFT involved, for the Christie's contemporary day sale. So that was a big honor right there for sure.
And I want to dive in. Like, why was that important for you to not attach the NFT or not have an NFT attached to
it? Well, because I'm using someone's face who's like a live person, like a real person, and to me it was like I wanted to do it because we're doing silk screen prints. Mm-hmm. So like I thought, you know what, to pay homage to Warhol and out of respect for Emma, I want to do this in the most thoughtful way possible, which to me is no NFT involved. Like, yeah, no, I've done NFTs, like it's all great, but like for this is a special thing. Like I'm debuting the Muse, and for the Muse's debut, it needed to be something extremely unique and on its own, and something that will stand the test of time, like in the traditional art world, and in the art world in general. Like it was just important for me to have a powerful statement attached with that piece of work.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, it's because you mentioned you were the first to do that, and I think it's really cool because, like I said, you've done really well here, and it's really cool to watch you step out into just the physical world. And I don't say the real world because I'm a firm believer of like the real world is a blend of our digital and physical lives.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's like stepping into the physical world where this isn't quite as known, or it's still a little bit vague, or it's still a little bit opaque. And did you have like any? So the people that were bidding there, did they know? Had they like known your crypto art before then, or like was this like their first exposure?
There were 3 crypto native folks there involved that were bidding, but one was bidding over the phone. Who was not. I don't know if they knew anything about me. I just know they weren't anybody that I knew, and I was told they were one of their bigger traditional art collectors.
Got it.
So that was a huge win for me, because I'm glad it went to. I'm glad like Anonymoux and the other bidders stepped up to like, because a lot of people claim they're real art collectors. Well, you have a chance now to collect some real art. I mean, it's all real art, but like some physical art. Like now's your chance to show if you want to do what you're saying you've been talking about. But like, yeah, I'm stoked that it went to Anonymoux. He really stepped up for me, and I can't wait to see him on his wall. And it was just a great experience, and I'm hoping to work with him again for their next November sale, either the day sale or the evening sale. Just depends on what I can come up with.
Yeah, I mean, and Anonymoux was a pretty big like contributor to like the creation of these silk screen prints. Like, didn't you guys like work together as being?
I mean, he's a great friend, and like he came to Brooklyn to help me decide on the last 4. Like I wanted his opinion. Like, hey, is this? Yeah. I got quite a few opinions, but it was important to get his opinion as well. And he came through for me, made the trip, and yeah, like because deep down I knew this was the quadrant, but I needed that reassurance from people I trusted, like him. And once I got that, like once he was like, yeah, this is the 4, because we even like rearranged them. I wanted to show him a few different options, and he's like, no, we got to go the first 4. So that was a huge relief, because there's 3 that, I mean, I have like 20 here at my house. And there's another, like all of them are amazing, but there's another 3 that I was really loving that work together, but they're a bit different style. But yeah, just the way these 4 work together cohesively and on their own was what made me choose them. So but yeah, I'm having these others framed, and yeah, I can't wait. I'm probably gonna frame all 20, to be honest. I don't. They're just no. I think there's a triptych that I really love. I'll have to share it soon, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
having those framed right now. But the framer in Brooklyn custom framed them, so I'm having to ship them all back to him because I want them all to have the same frames. So
Got it. Are you just gonna hang are you gonna like frame those and hang those in your own home, or are you planning on selling those like individually outside of that, or like what's kind of your
I'll
thought
probably
process with
sell
that?
some later on.
Yeah.
Like if someone wants to pay $1 million for one, like
Mm,
I have no need to sell them. But
got it.
like if someone wants to pay a premium, like this was the only chance someone's going to get to own them for less than a shitload of money, just because
Yeah.
they're important to my like the Muse silkscreen prints. There's only 20 of them that will ever exist. So, and they're all one of ones. So you're not. I'm not going to just give them away. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a friend of a friend who knows like Emma's boyfriend, so like I'm gonna gift them one.
Sure. That makes sense.
But other than that, yeah, I'll let her pick whichever one she wants. If she wants, I don't know yet. I'm not sure, but yeah. Other than that, I'm gonna keep them and potentially sell them. I might gift some to a museum. It just depends.
I
But
like that.
definitely, my estate will get the majority of them.
That's cool, man. And yeah, it's cool. It's interesting to hear how you think through that, because it was like, yeah, you got 20 of them. You have that big of a house to put them all up there. That would be an interesting vibe to have 20 Emmas.
Yeah. Well, it's a joke. Like my wife is like, she's like, I'm just going to frame them and put them all up there, and we'll have to explain it to everybody when they come over. But yeah, my wife's, she gets it. She knows it's just about the art. It's not, she's a good team player.
That's cool, man. I can imagine that this has been as stressful as it's been for you. It's probably, because I say this because even just as someone who creates content, I'm single. Like I have so much autonomy and free reign to like do what I want. I always have a lot of empathy for people that have, families and kids and, and people that are kind of like trudging through these moments, with them.
Yeah. It's man, it's not easy, dude. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to be a great father. I have 3 daughters. So I'm trying to teach them what a man is supposed to be, how a man should treat a woman. But I'm fucking also this lunatic artist who like makes dark shit all the time and like crazy lore. But I also like to make pretty and beautiful art as well. But like I love that I have 3 daughters as well, because they just have such champion energy. Like they are determined to be. I don't know why little boys just piss me off. Like every time we're at little birthday parties and they're just annoying. Like, hell out of here. But I used to want a son, but once I had daughters, I'm glad I had daughters after all. But but yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't wait for them to explore art, and they already explore art and music.
I was gonna ask, yeah,
piano, but no, it hasn't been without its stressors, but luckily they, like my wife's, like she gets it. Like if I'm really filling a scene I need to work on and there's chaos going on, she holds it down, and I try to get that thought out or that expression out on the computer, and then I'll jump back to what we were doing. And
sure.
But it's a great balance that's never, it's a constant adjustment.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. And it's cool that you have that strong of a connection to do that. And I'm glad that you had mentioned, the fact that the fact that you do have 3 daughters and what that means, because one of the pieces that I had noticed when I was browsing through like some of your early collections on Foundation was the She Doesn't Need You. That's always been one of my favorite ones of you, and that's a still image, with no music. And was that, if I'm not mistaken,
that was the first time I put a piano in the scene.
Yeah, dude. That's the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's interesting that was one of my favorites, because then I saw you doing the piano collection and it was like, oh, it's kind of, it looks very
yeah. I feel like that's when the Muse really started to influence my work. But I think I had done another piano piece before that, but it was like a parody. It wasn't like a serious. It wasn't like a
Right.
serious work. But
Yeah.
yeah, that one was dedicated to my daughters because I don't, she's not gonna need some man or whatever to be fulfilled in life. They'll be able to have their own unique lives and be whatever they want to be without having to worry about some asshole.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, so that's one. That's owned by 6529. He bought that before he became 6529, actually.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
Yeah. Like a week before. Yeah, I chatted with him before and he became 6529, and
yeah,
I was like, this guy's a fucking genius. Like, I've never been talked to like this. First of all, the way he talks to me is I love it because he's explaining the world to me. Yeah. But he's just so smart. He's such an intellectual, but he's I love 6529. One of my favorite people in the world.
It's so wild, man, because like we come from this world where people still think that unless you see their face, that's the only way you can trust them, like if they're doxxed. But it's really cool to see figures like that, like 6529 and VVD, and like people like that are just and it's like these people, like there's no need to see their face. It's not actually a requirement. It actually doesn't mean shit. Like the fact that you can tell by the way they speak, by the way they conduct themselves, by their actions, like it's just something incredible. I mean, I've even shared one of 6529's threads with one of my friends who is still kind of like utilizing me to understand, to like help filter through some of the noise of what this thing actually means. And like reading a thread of his to someone, I'm not gonna say in the real world, but in the non-crypto world, if they can understand it, that to me speaks a lot of volumes,
Oh, for sure.
It's insane.
Yeah, and I know I know 6529 like really takes his threads seriously, and anytime he's expressing a thought, I know he really thinks about it. And same with these other guys like VVD, Somo, like they're all very thoughtful people. But VVD is actually green. If once you meet him, he's green like Pepe. So if you ever meet him, he has green skin. Just kidding. Yeah,
I love that, man.
Yeah. Well, all good people.
Yeah. And you, like, how did you? I'm just curious. How did you even run into? Was he just browsing your art and browsing Foundation? No, 6529.
No, he came across me. He came across my work because of Xcopy, because of the Xcopy collab. Yeah, I think he was. I know he was a Xcopy appreciator, and and he bought last orders whenever Xcopy announced it, and then from there, I got a bid on that piece. She Doesn't Need You. And I asked, like, hey, who bought this piece? And nobody answered until like a few days later. He hit me up, and we started chatting. And I immediately realized, like, oh wow, this is definitely one of the smartest people I've ever met or I've ever chatted with. You could just tell, like, just the things he was saying, and amazing advice, like right away.
That's anyone who can share threads like that, where you can tell that it's one thing to have the knowledge, but it's another thing to distill it down into verbiage that people can, it's tangible. Like people can resonate with it. Oh, that makes sense. Like that's real. Like as someone who just primarily does, like I have conversations, I've tried to write threads and I'm fucking horrible at them. Like it's so hard to do that.
I'm not great either, to be honest. Somehow mine get great engagement, but I'm not good at them. But that's why I made him I made 6529 a PFP. I just haven't minted it yet, but it's him as Einstein with the hoodie and his glasses from his punk, but I'm still working on it.
Got it.
But yeah, I'll airdrop that to him, and VVD both got free ones because they've fucking spent so much ETH on me over the past year and a half, so it felt right.
Yeah. So. I mean, but it goes back to circling back to one of our earlier like parts in the conversation of like these guys were champions of art and bought art because they liked the art, and there was no expectation that like there was.
And it's not all about the like just because they spent ETH on me. Like they've been huge part of my.
They spent time, like
time and friendship, and just like I have a bar in the open metaverse. Like that's the special thing. So
huge.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just my way of saying thank you to, my two biggest supporters.
Yeah. I mean, in this tech, because I think people get very confused with the technology of like, just because we can do it, like when it comes to like airdrops or burn mechanics and all these other things that like, you're a huge champion of that. Like you find really unique and interesting ways to do that. But it's like, there's this,
thank you.
Yeah, man. But it's like, there's
it gets abused.
It does. I was literally, you said that in a lot less words than I did. It gets overused. It gets abused. It doesn't become fun anymore.
Yeah. And also I was relieved to see Folk Render doing a piece that maybe he'll do a burn mechanism later. I don't know. But as of right now, he's saying no burn mechanics because the art is, and I kind of love that. It feels kind of refreshing because yes, I did the burn to redeem, but mine was to like give people a choice.
Yeah.
It had a higher purpose. Mine was to give people a choice because there was something else happening. Like people were let down from the pale blue death that they didn't get. But so I wanted to I wanted to redeem myself. So the redemption actually means something. I was redeeming myself by people burning to redeem. So yeah, it was just more to it than just a simple here, use 3 of these to get 1 of these. I'm not really into that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's, but again, I think to tie a bow on that topic, it's like, what's the intent behind it? Because, again, like with the color study, like you literally did the whole thing from what you said, this color study was to find the last quadrant for the silkscreen print. Like that's the whole, it wasn't just just because you wanted to do it. There was a clear purpose behind that.
Yeah. It was a like a real time purpose happening that I didn't know at the time, but it definitely, it had a major role. And it's weird how even now, just things that, it's like a string theory, like everything's intertangled, with each other, and the pieces of art that I'm making, they're all, I think by the time I'm like 60 or 70, it'll be interesting to see which directions I go, because man, I have so many things going on and so many ideas, and I've just been doing this for, a year and a half, almost 2 years. So, this is in digital.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about that with people that I've had on. It's like, we're talking to people that are a year and a half into the space, or 5-7 years in their creative journey in general. And it's like, I had this thought last night of like, what is everyone who's creating art right now, who's in this for the long run, going to look like in 10 to 20, even just 5-10 years? It's already, if this is the level of output with the technology that we have right now, like what the hell's going to happen?
My goal is to, maybe it's arrogant, but like my goal is to like rocket so far out in front of anything else going on. I'm not going to say anyone else, but like I'm trying to just continue being outside of what everyone else is doing, and I just want to continue just evolving and moving outward towards my goals. So like I don't plan on letting off the gas anytime soon.
Well, I think it's super important to do that because it doesn't allow anything external to dictate where you're headed. I think it's a super important thing. You can call it arrogant, sure, it depends on how you look at it, but like you can also look at it just staying true to like what it is that you want to accomplish. And I think the people that think that's arrogant are people that don't understand how to make their own goals, or haven't really discovered maybe what they want in life, or what they want to achieve, or what they want to accomplish. And the second side of that coin is when they have that, is putting enough time, getting some results enough to actually believe it. They're two separate things. Like setting the goal is one thing, But like
Yeah.
knowing that it's actually possible is an entirely separate process.
Oh yeah, and it's weird. It's very strange to be able to be an artist in 2022, in this era,
Mhm.
a successful artist or whatever. Like at this level, it's. I was thinking about it the other day. Like we artists are charged with telling stories that most people wouldn't think of. So it's
Mm.
like our job to entertain people artistically, or like, that's what we're signing up for. And I think not everyone has it in them to conquer those things and to like overcome whatever is going on, to really step out and
Yeah.
become a voice for their own legacy or whatever.
It's hard. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
like,
I have family members that are like, oh, hey, so where do I sign up? I'm like, hold on. Like, don't, if you're going to compare to me, please don't, because and we each have our own interesting journeys, but like,
yeah. Yeah.
mine's been somewhat of a fluke because I haven't had to stick to any sort of guidelines or rule book or anything. I've been able to do what I've been able to get myself into situations that most other artists would not be comfortable in. I wasn't comfortable in them either, but I stuck to the vision and the plan. And yeah, like I've been fortunate enough to be one of the artists who can make art in whatever medium or genre and it be accepted, globally or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you shared that, because I think people don't see the alternate side of the coin is while that's super great to be able to do that, it's also when you're doing something that's not a part of, like, it falls in line with the mission, or it falls in line with the community of like what we're all trying to build here.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're the only one doing what you're doing, it's a really kind of scary thing. I can imagine, where it's like, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like
It
it's
is.
number one, it's terrifying, but to see it through and to have nothing to really compare it to,
Yeah.
it's hard not having that comparison.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Because I like these new works I'm working on, not the piano collection, but it's a new style, like a new aesthetic that I'm working on. I love it. Like it's some of the most detailed kind of work I've ever made, but I'm weary of public opinion. But then again, I'm like, you know what? But this is everything I stand for, is being able to share this work with the public, because this is something I'm making. Like this is something I'm working on and that I believe in. So that should be enough for me to, be free to share it with the world. And yeah, if people can't support that, then, I don't really need their support, I guess.
But that's also, even that statement, is like, that's a hard thing to even let go of, as a naturally being a human being, like, we're, especially when we're growing up, we're always looking for like these like levels of safety and security and validation, and, am I doing the right thing, or is this going to be accepted? Is this not,
Oh man. Yeah. It's a constant struggle, because like I said, I get myself into these situations, or the Muse, rolls the dice with me, I guess for laughs. I don't know, and then I have to find my way out of the maze. But I've become, like, I don't want to say addicted, but I love that feeling of fear and then overcoming it with success. Like that success you feel after that trial and tribulation is always like, makes me feel alive. So something I keep looking for. And I think that's why I don't continue. Like I'll always make 3D art and glitch art. Those two are never going away. But what else I'll make is where, the question is, like, those are the unknown roads. And that's what I'm exploring now. And it's fun. Like I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you had shared a tweet. It was a quote off someone. It was like not branching too far outside your comfort zone, but like that area just outside of your comfort zone is like where some of the best work is created. Because if you go too far, like it's just going to be overwhelming, but like just outside of that area where it's like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm pushed out of an airplane, but I know I have a parachute. I just don't know where it is. I just don't know where to to pull
exactly. That's when things get interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was Billy Idol, or is one of those guys. He was speaking in an interview, and what he said really made sense. Like, if you're always playing in your comfort zone, I mean, it's going to get boring eventually.
Yeah.
So, but once you step outside of that, and I think that's why the Muse story was such a success and such a win for me, because it all started with taking a risk, because there was a risk of getting sued by the original photographer. So I'm like, well, shit, let me pursue that path. So I found the original photographer, and we got his written consent. And then I bought a commercial license from Reuters. I spent all this money without having a yes from Christie's yet, and but I had to take the risk. Like, I sat there thinking, like, well, if I don't spend the money now, then I'm basically spitting in the face of the Muse, because I'm not willing to do what I got to do to secure this win. So I did what I had to do, and we got the commercial licenses. Everything was good, and so I'm glad that I had to go on that journey to get that, because that's what the Muse is all about, in my opinion.
So, I like that, man. I think it's a good way to end this, man.
Yeah.
Sure. Dude. ACK, thank you.
I appreciate the time, man.
Yeah. This has been good, dude. We went a lot of different places. I don't think some of it was really linear, but that doesn't really matter. Life isn't linear. So, I love it when it happens.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a great time, man. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely, dude. Is there, last kind of plug is, where should people, go to find you, your art? Where do you want people to go first?
On Twitter, at Alpha Centauri Kid. Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a few things, but my piano collection will be my next major drop in the spring of 2023. And it'll be open to the public. Zero ETH reserve on all 100. So whatever happens. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to some support from the community, hopefully. But the art will dictate if there is support or not. That's how I look at it. Like, if the art is great, then it'll be a success. So
that's right. Well, ACK, thank you for. I know it's got to be an incredibly, even just every time you put art out there, it's probably an incredibly vulnerable process or a big risk to even do that. So thank you for doing that on a consistent basis, and continue to do what you do, man, because it's fun to be able to not only just chat with you here, but just to kind of participate in this, whatever this thing is called that we're all in right now. Yeah. I think that's been one of the greatest things that I was always searching for, was that, like, this group of just insanely intelligent, creative, just smart people all doing their own thing and getting to kind of trudge this road with them has been one of the things that I think it's one of the most special things that I've encountered or participated in since I've been here.
I agree, man. Yeah, I agree. I appreciate what you're doing for artists and people in the space as well. And it's great to see us all just pursuing our own goals and just making shit happen. And I can't wait to see what 2023 holds.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it's a little on the macro scale. Hopefully it's a little bit better than 2022.
Too much shit happened in 2022, but we keep moving forward.
That's right, man. Well, hey, man, have a great rest of your day, dude. Thank you so much.
You too, brother. All right, man. Later.